Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. We're diving into the world of startups today.
Ooh, exciting.
And get this, our guide is none other than Sam Altman,
No way. Sam Altman, the Y Combinator guy.
the one and only. Talk about an insider's perspective, right? We're talking about someone who's seen it all, helped build some of the biggest names out there.
He's pretty much seen the future.
Right. And the best part is, in this document we're diving into, he doesn't hold back. He breaks down the core, the fundamentals of what it takes to build a company that doesn't just survive, but thrives.
That's what I love about Altman. He's all about cutting through the BS. He gets straight to the point.
No magic formulas, no shortcuts.
Exactly. He's all about building something real, something lasting.
Okay, so no shortcuts, got it.
Mm.
But what are these fundamentals he's so passionate about?
He lays out 4 key ingredients: a killer idea, a dream team, an awesome product.
Okay, I'm with you so far.
And of course, you got to execute flawlessly. It's like baking a cake.
Ooh, I like where this is going.
You need all the right ingredients in the right amounts, and you got to follow the recipe or it's a disaster.
So you're saying, even if I have the most brilliant idea in the world, if I don't have the right team, the right product, and the execution is off,
It's going to fall flat.
it's all about the whole package.
100%. You need all 4 of those elements working in harmony.
This is already making me rethink my whole approach.
Hmm.
So which of these fundamentals really stood out to you? What got you fired up?
Honestly, the thing that really hit me was how much he emphasizes building a product that people absolutely love. Not just kind of cool, but love.
Yeah. He keeps coming back to that, doesn't he? What's the difference, really, between someone liking something and absolutely loving it?
Think about it. How many products do you actually use and go, this is pretty good?
Yeah, tons probably.
Right, but how many do you rave about to your friends? How many do you tell everyone you know, you have to try this?
Okay, that's a much smaller list.
Exactly. And the ones you truly love, those are the products that have that spark. They create a movement.
Ah, that makes so much sense. It's about creating those raving fans, those diehards who spread the word for you.
Especially in the early days when every new user counts, you need that kind of passion.
Word of mouth is powerful.
It's everything.
So how do you create that? How do you build a product people will rave about?
Well, Altman talks about this idea of a product improvement engine.
Ooh, I like that product improvement engine. What does that even mean?
Basically, it's all about building a system, a culture of constantly listening to your users, watching how they interact with your product, and then using that feedback to make it better one tweak at a time.
So it's less about those massive overhauls and more about making small, incremental improvements.
Exactly. Think of it like compound interest, but for your product. A tiny improvement each week can lead to huge gains over time.
That makes sense. It's about building momentum, always moving forward, even if it's in small steps.
Exactly. It's about building that snowball effect.
This reminds me of another one of Altman's gems. Do things that don't scale. He even gives the example of Ben Silbermann from Pinterest, going up to strangers in coffee shops just to get them to try his platform.
I love that story.
Seems crazy, right? But it worked.
It's about that hustle, that willingness to do whatever it takes, especially in the beginning when you don't have the luxury of big marketing budgets or fancy PR firms.
It's that scrappiness that defines so many successful startups.
Totally. But even with a fantastic product and that go-getter attitude, you still need momentum. And Altman emphasizes that lack of growth can kill a startup.
He's not afraid to say it like it is he? But why is that? Why is growth so crucial?
Well, on a practical level, a company without growth is a company that's eventually going to run out of money, right?
Right. Investors aren't exactly lining up to support a shrinking ship.
Exactly. But it goes beyond just the numbers. A lack of growth can be incredibly demoralizing for a team, especially a startup team that's pouring their heart and soul into something.
Like all that hard work, all that passion, and for what?
Yeah, it can create this vicious cycle where lack of growth leads to low morale, which just makes it even harder to grow.
So how do you break out of that cycle?
Yeah.
How do you create that unstoppable momentum?
Altman suggests picking one key growth metric, something he calls your North Star metric. This becomes your obsession, the one number everyone in the company rallies around.
Love that. Everyone laser focused on the same goal.
Right, and it's not just about setting a goal, it's about being transparent with your progress, celebrating those wins, no matter how small. It creates a culture of ownership and accountability.
When everyone feels like they're part of something bigger, like they're contributing to something meaningful, that's when the magic happens.
100%.
But let's be real, even with a killer team and a clear vision, someone needs to steer the ship, right? Who's ultimately responsible for making sure the company stays on course, keeps that momentum going.
Well, in Altman's world, that's where the CEO comes in. And his definition of a CEO's role is pretty interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Lay it on me. What does Sam Altman say the CEO's job really is?
He makes it pretty clear. The CEO's job is to make sure the company wins. Sounds simple.
Right.
But when you really dig into it, making sure the company wins, that covers a lot.
It's like the weight of the world is on your shoulders.
Pretty much. You're the visionary, the strategist, the cheerleader, the problem solver, all rolled into one.
So you need to be adaptable, able to switch gears at a moment's notice.
Exactly. Every day is different, every hour even. Altman actually breaks it down into 5 key areas.
Oh, I gotta hear. Hit me with those 5 areas.
First off, you got to set the vision and strategy right. Where's the ship going?
Charting the course.
Yep. But then you got to be the cheerleader, the hype man, get everyone excited about that vision, from your employees to your investors, even your customer.
So you're not just leading the charge, you're leading the parade.
Love that. Then there's hiring and managing your team. You can have the best idea in the world, but without the right people.
It's DOA.
100%. And of course, let's not forget about the whole money thing.
Ah, yes, that pesky detail.
Fundraising is huge EE. Convincing people to buy into your vision, to trust you with their money, that's a whole other skill set. And then finally, there's execution. Making it all happen, setting the bar high, and making sure everyone's performing at their best.
Sounds exhausting just listening to all that.
Tell me about it. It's not for the faint of heart. But that brings up an interesting point. With all that responsibility on the CEO's plate, when do they even have time to think about building a team?
Right. It's like delegate or die. Right.
Funny you should say that, because Altman has a pretty counterintuitive take on hiring.
Oh, do tell.
He actually recommends not hiring for as long as possible.
Wait, seriously? I would think you'd want to bring in the best and brightest as early as possible, build that dream team from day one.
Makes sense, right? But Altman argues that hiring too early can actually slow you down, and for a few reasons.
Okay, now I'm really curious.
Well, first of all, employees are expensive. Salaries, benefits, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, those paychecks add up fast.
Especially for startups that are often working with limited funds.
Bootstrapping it, as they say.
Exactly. But it's more than just the financial burden. Every new hire adds complexity to your organization.
More cooks in the kitchen, more potential for things to get, well,
messy.
Exactly.
Decisions take longer, communication gets muddled, and it makes those quick pivots, those changes in direction that are so crucial in the early days, so much harder. Altman actually talks about those early brainstorming sessions with your co-founders, staying up all night, bouncing ideas off each other.
Those are the moments that matter.
Exactly. You're building something from scratch, iterating like crazy, and sometimes too many voices can muddy the waters.
It's about preserving that agility, that ability to move fast and break things.
Exactly. But of course, there comes a point when you can't do it all yourself. Eventually, you need to build that team.
So when that time comes, what's the Altman approach?
Quality over quantity, always. He'd rather see a small team of absolute rock stars than a huge team of mediocre players.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Right. It's like that whole love your product philosophy, but applied to people. And when it comes to hiring, he's all about aptitude over experience.
Interesting. So you're saying he'd rather take a chance on someone with raw talent and a hunger to learn, even if they don't have years of experience under their belt.
100%. He wants people who are smart, who are adaptable, who can figure things out. Because in the startup world, things change so fast, and the skills you need today might be obsolete tomorrow.
So it's more about the potential, that spark, than just checking off boxes on a resume.
Exactly. You want people who can grow with the company, who are eager to learn and adapt. But skills and smarts aside, there's another crucial element Altman looks for. Personality.
Ah, the ever-important culture fit.
He has this great rule. He calls it the no jerks rule.
Love it. It's so simple, but so important. Because even the most brilliant person, If they're toxic, if they create drama,
They can bring the whole team down.
right, it's not worth it. Life's too short to work with jerks.
Amen to that. And it's not just about blatant negativity, it's those subtle behaviors, the constant complaining, the unwillingness to collaborate, the negativity that can just suck the energy out of a room.
So you've got your dream team assembled, no jerks allowed. What's next? How do you make sure these rock stars you hired actually thrive?
Well, Altman's a big believer in mentorship, in guiding and nurturing talent. He stresses the importance of investing in management skills, especially for first-time founders who might be used to doing everything themselves.
Right, because going from individual contributor to leader is a huge leap.
It's like going from player to coach. It requires a whole new set of skills.
Spot on. And just like a great coach, a great CEO needs to empower their team, give them the tools and support they need to succeed.
100%. It's about fostering an environment where everyone feels valued, where they have the autonomy to do their best work, but also the guidance to know they're not alone.
It's about creating that sense of shared ownership, that feeling that we're all in this together.
Exactly. Which actually brings up an interesting point. With the rise of remote work, I'm curious about Altman's take on the whole in-person versus virtual team dynamic.
Yeah, that's a big one these days. What's his stance? Is he team remote or team office?
He doesn't shy away from the fact that remote work can definitely work, especially for certain types of companies and industries.
Right, like some roles just don't require you to be chained to a desk.
Exactly. But he does believe that being physically together, especially in those early formative stages of a company, is incredibly valuable.
There's something to be said for that energy you get from being in the same room, those impromptu brainstorming sessions, the camaraderie that just seems to happen more organically when you're face to face.
100%. You can't replicate those water cooler moments, those chance encounters that spark new ideas, those late night work sessions fueled by pizza and passion through a
It's
screen.
about building a shared culture, a sense of community, and that's just harder to do when everyone's scattered.
Exactly. But let's be real. Even with a dream team, a killer culture, and all the momentum in the world, building a startup is hard. You're constantly facing challenges, setbacks, competition. It can be brutal. So how do you navigate those choppy waters? What's Altman's advice?
It's easy to get so caught up in the day-to-day grind that you forget to take care of yourself.
It's true. It's like they say, physician, heal thyself. But seriously, founders are famous for burning the candle at both ends.
Sacrificing everything for the company.
Exactly. But Altman's point is, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? You need to take care of yourself if you want to be firing on all cylinders.
Makes sense. Burnout helps nobody.
Yep.
So how do you strike that balance? How do you avoid becoming a statistic?
Well, he talks a lot about finding ways to recharge, even when it feels like there are not enough hours in the day.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Oh, totally. But even small things, right? Taking a walk, spending time with loved ones, disconnecting from work for a few hours, it all adds up.
It's about recharging those batteries, coming back to the problem with fresh eyes.
Exactly. Because let's be honest, when you're exhausted, you're not doing your best work. You're more likely to make mistakes, you're less creative, you're just not on top of your game.
And nobody makes good decisions when they're running on fumes. But it's not just about avoiding burnout, is it? Altman also talks about the importance of optimism, especially for founders.
Oh, he's a huge believer in the power of optimism. And it's not just about being cheerful, it's about truly believing in your vision, even when things get tough.
Because there will be tough times, guaranteed. How do you keep the faith when the going gets rough?
I think it goes back to that whole self-care thing. When you're taking care of yourself, when you're feeling good physically and mentally, it's easier to stay positive, to see the possibilities, even when you're facing challenges.
It's like they say, fake it till you make it.
Sometimes. But I think it's more than just faking it. It's about cultivating that belief in yourself, in your team, in your vision. Because if you don't believe it, who will?
And that belief, that optimism, it can be contagious. It inspires your team. It attracts investors. It even resonates with your customers.
Totally. It creates this aura of success, even when you're still figuring things out. And speaking of figuring things out, Altman talks a lot about the importance of defining your company's mission and values early on.
It's easy to overlook that in the early stages. right?
Yeah.
You're so focused on building the product, getting customers, you don't always think about the bigger picture.
Exactly. But Altman argues that those early conversations about mission and values, they're crucial. They lay the foundation for everything that comes after.
It's like, what do you stand for? What kind of impact do you want to make on the world?
Exactly. And those values, they should inform everything you do. From the people you hire to the partnerships you form, even the way you design your product.
It becomes part of your company's DNA.
Exactly. And as your company grows, those values become even more important. They help you navigate those tricky situations, make tough decisions, stay true to your vision.
Because at the end of the day, building a company isn't just about making money, right?
Right. It's about building something you're proud of, something that makes a difference.
Something that leaves the world a little bit better than you found it.
Exactly. And I think that's what really resonated with me about Altman's playbook. Yes, it's about building a successful company, but it's also about building something meaningful, something that matters.
Well said. And on that note, I think we've done our deep dive for today.
I'm exhausted, in a good way.
Me too.
Yeah.
But seriously, this was fantastic. Thanks for taking us on this journey through Sam Altman's world.
My pleasure, anytime.
And to our listeners, we'll leave you with this. Think about those fundamentals, think about those values, and most importantly, take care of yourselves. Until next time, keep building.